selective mutism, it is a thing. Honestly, I feel bad for saying this, but I feel like this is training that should be done in person.
I just feel really sad.
Hey, I'm once again in the phone booth. I get quiet every time when I'm in the phone booth. I feel like I actually still don't feel comfortable for people at work to hear me talking. Anyway, my laptop, it died because I forgot the charger. Not that I forgot the charger, but like this happens to me like from time to time. I brought the charger to work, but it's missing this part that goes from the big bulky
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new
the white part to the MacBook USB-C cord. My plan today is to do the Title IX training. I logged into this online portal. I have to take a pre-assessment, and one of the questions, it kind of shocked me.
Your friend David from your business communication class suddenly stopped logging into your online course discussion board about 2 weeks into the semester. You email him to check in, and he tells you that he's withdrawing from the class. You're surprised, because this was the last class he needed in order to graduate this spring. David writes back to explain that his partner wants him to move out because his partner said that David's schoolwork is preventing him from contributing to the relationship.
This is a deli of a pickle.
It sounds so similar to what is happening in my life right now, and I just took a screenshot and I texted it to Ricky. I was like, I'm really surprised by this. And he did not respond.
God, the PTA has disbanded!
And I was thinking, maybe I should film myself or do a vlog on this Title IX training. Maybe this will be helpful for other autistic people.
Later. No, the PTA has not disbanded.
It's like a training on sexual assault and abuse. So I guess I would film it on my iMac.
Hey everyone, so here's me completing the Title IX training through the UCLA online portal. So, what is Title IX? It's a federal law passed in 1972, part of the Education Amendments, aimed at prohibiting sex-based discrimination in any school or educational program that receives federal funding. So, our school, being a federally funded institution, requires all enrolled students to complete this training as a preventative measure to address and prevent sex discrimination. While I couldn't find many statistics on the effectiveness of these programs, the general consensus is that they help increase reporting, raise awareness, and improve understanding. However, there seems to be a lack of long-term studies on the real impact of these trainings. This specific online training took me about 4 hours to finish, but I took breaks throughout because it felt emotionally intense, sometimes even triggering my trauma. It began with a 15-question pre-assessment, which I had to complete again at the end to compare my understanding. The training covered topics like values, identities, and relationships, sexual harassment and stalking, consent and coercion, and how to take action or report an incident.
So I just have to step out from the Title IX training I was doing, and I came into the phone booth just to reflect on the training that I had done thus far. And a lot of the things that I'm learning, it's nothing new, but I'm also just questioning at the same time, like, is this actually helpful for me? Cognitively, I feel like I've read these things so many times, but as an autistic adult, what I struggle with is to actually apply this in the moment, in real life, of actually identifying, okay, that is what is meant with what I was reading. Because I feel like what is happening to me personally, I struggle with identifying, okay, is this the situation that is described in those training, or am I missing something here? Personally, in my life right now, he's okay with me staying until I move out. I'm getting mixed signals. In real life situations, I feel like autistic people need more help. in identifying what constitute as abuse, because I personally feel like abuse is such a norm for us. We've always been tolerating abuse, and it kind of messed with our instinct that, like, for example, masking is a behavior that kind of messes with instinct. That I guess that could be a reason why those training just doesn't feel as effective. Me as an autistic adult, because I've had a history of abuse in the society, I don't always feel safe with other people in his life around me. I have this thing called selective mutism. I freeze, I get quiet, I couldn't really communicate with people that I don't feel safe with. It's not something that I have much control with, and I feel really bad about this because I know it's the same people that would probably dislike me. That's the same reason why I was being quiet when I was in the apartment, because I realized, okay, there was somebody outside that I don't really feel safe with. So I guess, I mean, I feel bad for not being able to be as open to people selectively as I hope. Selective mutism, it is a thing. Let me know if you also have a similar problem, or if you're like me who can selectively get really quiet and shut down with certain people. I do feel when it happens with me that when I get very quiet, when I shut down with certain people, these people tend to dislike me more. And yeah, it's very hard. It's kind of like a vicious circle. And I feel like these people, they tend to really project a lot of their own insecurity on me.
First off, I want to acknowledge that having structured training like this can be helpful. It gives a name and a framework to complex issues, things we often avoid confronting as a society. As an autistic woman, sometimes finding the right words to name an experience can be hard. So I do appreciate that training lays things out in clear terms. But here's where it gets tricky. The way the information is presented through pre-scripted multiple choice questions feels like a layer removed from real life. In these structured scenarios, the situations is already framed as a story with a clear beginning, middle, and end. But when things happen to me, I don't naturally think in those terms. Real life situations are messy, especially for me as someone on the spectrum. It's not always easy to identify or narrate what's happening as it's happening. Another thing I noticed, the correct responses are essentially scripts. And while scripts can be helpful for autistic people, it feels like I'm being trained to mask, learning the right answer, but not necessarily connecting it with how I truly experience or interpret these situations. Honestly, this training reminded me of past incidents in my life where I had been sexually assaulted, and it made me wonder, how could I have recognized those situations sooner? How could training like this have been adapted to better support someone like me who doesn't always process or communicate experiences in the neurotypical ways? I don't know.
So I just finished the Title IX training, and I feel totally overwhelmed. I know it's a self-paced and I have until November, but I imagine most people would do this over the course of one day, 70-minute. I guess it just seems like that's what made the most sense. And to be honest, I mean, it looks so nicely done, but I feel like honestly, I feel bad for saying this, but I feel like this is a training that should be done in person. The school probably has the resources to do this, specifically design a program for neurodiverse autistic students as well. I can see that they put in some effort into even just making an online program like this, but honestly, I think it requires more. Because for me personally, like, I just cognitively understand, but I really need to see this in action, to see this played out, to have staff or students in person to do role play,
like the situation-based multiple choice questions, there's the responses, it just seems so robotic. Like, I guess it's helpful for me to see the script of what I could respond, but I honestly don't think that's very helpful for us autistic adults, let alone autistic teens or kids, for this to be effective.